report, Twitter mentions and things like that. Those kind of things. You got Twitter mentions and Facebook impressions through this thing.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about that as one of those like kind of 1.1, 1.2 versions. You start integrating all those social tracking functions, so that makes sense. Is there, Jeff, do you have any other questions you're thinking about specific to the sponsors' needs? This has been a pretty good overview.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about the actual tool, like kind of like what it looks like, what fields are in there, because less is more when it comes to simplicity from the CEO's perspective. So like we got to think about like what are the absolute minimum features that this reporting system has to have.
You said you had some documentation, kind of what your thoughts were on some of the fields and what you wanted to collect.
I'm opening it up right now.
Okay. Then maybe that'll give us the answer to at least some of those fields we need to be talking about. We're not physically going to be...
Think about too is, here's another big piece that we need to always go fall back on. At some point, the contract was done for this deal.
Yep.
Okay, a proposal was put forth and a contract was done. Inside that contract, it's going to outline assets and documentation. And my idea was for the event was to have that, well, for both of them, you should always have a copy of it uploaded into the back end, but almost like a checkbox scenario that you start the event. My event is starting off with my bare bone basis of what I've got to fulfill. And somehow I'm building an asset checkbox thing of,
that is
logos on
Josh.
radio ad, etc.
Hey, dude, that's like the fundamental one. That is the core of what the product is right now. So we've got that one nailed 100%. So definitely on page with that one.
Yeah, it's like we're like rethinking the philosophy of what the contract even is.
Yeah,
the contract
we're thinking at a very minimum viable product. We're documenting exactly what you're supposed to get and proving that you got it, both by saying we gave it to you, and then two, uploading images or audio files or TV files, video files, etc. that give you proof of it, and then being able to, on top of that, layer in some data. So what was the Nielsen ratings for the commercials that ran for the event? What was the media exposure hit? What's on that day of the paper? All those kinds of things are going to be analytics that sit on top of it. So that's kind of like what we're calling the baseline product. And then also giving the function to the event organizer to be able to say, in addition to what we promised you, you also got all these benefits. The media coverage for the event, more people attend than are supposed to attend. Your logo was placed places we didn't even promise you we'd have it located at. We mentioned you on an email campaign. We put you in an ad. We did a contest giveaway for something on air and said it was because of you. So we can give a reporting function that also documents the above and beyonds. So that's definitely the core of what we're focusing on today, is what we'll call the minimum viable get to market product. So I think that's good.
Hey Josh, this is Chris. Thanks so much. This is really awesome. I was curious about kind of the different mentalities that if we're interfacing with corporate sponsors and then event planners also, do they come at this with a different feel? Like it seems like if you're a music event sponsor or music event organizer, that you'd have a different almost attitude or expectation, like interface, than a corporate marketing person would. How do you? What's your perspective on that? How do you see like these two people going in?
Well, the interface might look a little different, but it's almost like you have two different databases dumping into one report, but there is some cross-pollination, I guess, of both of those individuals. The interface for the event is going to be much more elaborate, because you're going to have all these different, what we call assets. So you have all these different asset fields. So you'll have your collateral assets, you'll have your media assets, activation assets, all of those. Each one of those assets would just have the ability to upload line items, photo proofs, pictures of the actual collateral pieces that ran with the logos on them, those kinds of things. The event for the sponsor interface might not have all those things, but it would have the ability for you to upload photos. So you both have the ability to upload photos that go into one place.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I'm saying. Some of the fields may be turned off on the interface for the sponsor, whereas pretty much all of them will be available to the event, because you want the event putting in as much information as possible.
So what is it? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I definitely agree. And do you think it'd be beneficial if they had different kind of feels when you go into the website? So, there's different kind of almost attitudes that a website can have, and almost, do you think that there would be differences between these two groups of people and what they would feel more comfortable interacting with?
Are you asking if the interface needs to be significantly different for the music scene folks than the people who are selling sponsorship of like a museum or something? Like, so it just feels and looks completely different for that group?
So I was just saying between the sponsor and event people, but
Gotcha.
it could be, it probably doesn't need to be tailored per the type of event, but just the idea that, the big thing is we want to make this really comfortable for people to use and just an easy to report, easy to add kind of thing. And, I want to just have it fit to, I don't want to say the personalities, but the kind of expectations of where they feel comfortable, which might be different from a corporate setting to event planning. I don't know. Or especially when it comes to the small events. If it's a very corporate looking website, it wouldn't feel comfortable for a small event, but if it's a more, I'm trying to think of a good word to say this. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like more,
Keep talking. I'm following you. I'm just trying to get in my head here.
yeah, it's more. You picture a website you really connect with, and it's based around this atmosphere, this feeling that you create with the website. And I kind of see, I could almost see a difference between these two groups of people who probably have different expectations for their own work about what that kind of atmosphere is. Does that make sense?
You mean just look and feel?
Yeah, look and feel. Not the actual content, but the feel or possibly the interaction. But yeah.
No, it doesn't really matter too much. Just like you just look and feel to it for both parties.
Josh, just step a different direction on the event organizing side. Think about what you're doing with MOKV and the smaller events that you're doing where you have sponsors that are sponsoring multiple activities at a time, or they're sponsoring a series of things. What are some of the things that are just basic functions that would be helpful for you as the sponsorship sort of coordinator to manage? I mean, do you want an easy place to upload contracts? Do you need an easy functionality to track preferences of your sponsors, or tips on how to manage the visitors that are coming as a representative of the sponsor? I mean, what are some things that might be helpful to have in the system that both the day of the event and before and after that would help you do a better job of being that sponsor point of contact?
Well, I think you have to think of it in terms of even events or properties, because if I'm in that instance, I would be the buyer of the program because I've got multiple sponsors and multiple events.
Yep.
So there would be a platform where me as a sponsorship seller or a event manager would buy the software just because I have multiples. So you would need to have the ability on my side to add, from the very starting point, an event. So I would add one event, and that would be the MOKV concert series for 2011.
Yeah.
So I would call that one event. And under that one event, I would put all the different shows that comprise that event. I think that'd probably report my data collectively as a whole, since the series is being sponsored as a whole.
Yeah.
But then again, if I did just have one sponsor that wanted to say, I just want to sponsor this Black Keys show, then I would just add that as a separate event. It'd be Black Keys show, and it would give me the same profile to add, upload photos and documentation, just like I did for the concert series. It would just be more specific to that event.
Yeah.
Then I would also have the ability, once I've added events, to add sponsors to those events. So once I add a sponsor to that event, let's say I add whatever Coleman Dental to the Black Keys show, that gives me the ability to send reporting specific to that sponsor and back to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So some kind of series of associations and check boxes that match sponsors with the actual event, and I'm still uploading the same information like I would to each event. I just I just wanted the events. Once you have, I might have 50 events in my back end that I'm tracking sponsorships for, and as I'm seeing things coming in, I'm just putting them into the right places.
Yeah.
So that I can look at each event and know that who my sponsors are for each one of those events. And when it comes time to report at the end of the year, then I would run my insurance report or my home and dental report by clicking on a button that would bring up all the things that we've done for that specific sponsor throughout the year.
Which could be multiple events, so that makes sense.
Which could be multiple events or could be one event.
Yeah. Okay. Not to take too much more. Go ahead.
Well, that's how you, but I just want to say, that's how you, because you got to think back that to a brand that's actually going to have multiple events and multiple events using this platform, so they're all kind of doing the same thing, then you need to jump into that sponsor bucket to come back to them. So if I'm the sponsor looking at my interface, I see on my list, MLKB Concert Series, Coca-Cola, NASCAR 400, all these different things, events in my back end that we're sponsoring. There's just got to be a way to tie them together somehow.
Yep, I get it. Not to take too much more of your time. Is there any other questions? We may want to call you back later today. Are you going to be free this afternoon if we have some more questions or thoughts?
I will be thinking to get outdoors for a little bit, but we're coming right back, so it's not like all day.
All right, cool, man. Are you going to be up late tonight, or are you crashing early tonight?
I'll be up late.
All right, cool.
I'm trying to find it. This folder is buried in my hard drive somewhere. I can't find it right now. So I got to do some searches and look for it. But I'll look for a few more minutes before I go. If I find something, I'll send it to you. But
Sure.
I'll be on cell all day. If you got a quick question, I'll take it all. I'd like to see this thing work out. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Do you have any guys? Do you want you guys have any specific questions you want to ask? 'Cause I have just one follow up.
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, if there's any major, hurdles that you think we're going to run into that we might not see, is there anything that comes off the top of your head?
As far as bring it to market or to sell it.
Well, you said put yourself in the shoes of the guy sitting, the marketing guy for the brand, and really think about what he wants, because that's the guy that you got to sell it to, and if you can't sell it, it's not a viable business.
Yeah.
So, it's the thing that's really going to make him tick. I can't think about my guy insurance every time I started doing this, because he was a really smart guy. He was really tight into social media. He was hands-on. So, I was very accountable to him because he knew what the heck was going on. So many people